Well, good morning. It's Thursday, February 19th, 2026. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm your host, Greg Bishop. Thank you for waking up with us here for the Center Square and our focus on the land of Lincoln. Those of you joining the chat room, good morning. John Deere 48401 seems to be the first in here each and every morning. Wishing everybody a good morning, so appreciate that. But don't forget, you can get the Center Square Daily later on right here at this very channel with a look at what's going on across the country. So a lot of stuff that we tackle each and every day with the Center Square Daily. So get that in addition to Illinois in Focus Daily right here with the Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com where you can sign up for the newsletter to get headlines in your inbox so you can always stay informed of what's going on, all right? Again, we got the budget speech that we're going to review what the governor had to say yesterday and how much he's looking to spend of your tax dollars, and also reaction from Republicans at the State House and one of the potential challengers for Governor J.B. Pritzker in this election year. So that's what we're going to tackle today with Illinois in Focus Daily, all right? Appreciate you being here each and every weekday morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us here for the latest with Illinois in Focus Daily. Also, give me that thumbs up if everything sounds and looks good and we're ready to rock and roll.
Love is a superpower. It teaches the brittle to bend. It shows the selfish how to share. It grants courage to the coward.
Well, I think like we discussed before this, you walk out and say, well, at least we weren't called Nazis. That's a positive step.
It's just some of the back and forth yesterday after Governor J.B. Pritzker's speech and State of the States and budget address for fiscal year 2027. I'm Greg Bishop. This is Illinois in Focus Daily, where you get the latest of what's going on in the land of Lincoln. And yesterday, a big day at the Capitol. Our team was on the ground covering the governor's 8th budget address. And of course, this is an election year where he is heading into the 2026 November election, the potential of facing different candidates. One could be a rematch with Darren Bailey, or it could be Ted Dabrowski, Jim Mendrick, or Rick Heidner. Of course, that March 17th primary coming up just around the corner. But before all of that, you've got the legislature in session, and they're moving forward with all kinds of things. You got the budget that's going to be top of mind, and the governor delivering what he wants to see happen. If you go to thecentersquare.com, you'll be able to find Jim Talamonte's latest on this story, and that is the governor's looking to spend $54.8 billion. That is actually down from $55.2 billion for the current fiscal year. So Governor Pritzker proposing that budget smaller than the current state spending plan, looks to spend $54.8 billion in general revenue funds. That's down from $55.2 billion. The governor launched into criticism of President Donald Trump. We'll hear a little bit about that. But he also laid out some new things he's hoping to do. The governor announced the Build Up Illinois Developments, or BUILD plan, a new initiative, he said, would lower housing costs by making it easier, faster, and more effective to build homes. On energy policy, the governor called for a 2-year pause on new data center tax credits. And that's something that he's been criticized before for carving out certain industries and having government pick winners and losers. The governor also urged the Illinois House to pass HB 3799, a measure that would allow State Department of Insurance to object to material premium increases for homeowner insurance companies. So that's clearly going to be a big issue heading into the rest of the legislative session. On education, the governor, he talked about taxation and having a social media tax. looking to generate $200 million a year to support K through 12 education. He said parents and kids deserve to have better funded schools. If social media giants are going to feed off Illinois families, they ought to support Illinois families. So those are just some of the initiatives that the governor laid out in his budget address and his State of the State yesterday. But let's go ahead and hear some more of what the governor had to say. He obviously took time in his address to criticize President Donald Trump and the ongoing efforts that Trump has to shore up federal tax dollars.
$8.4 billion. $8.4 billion. That is how much the Trump administration has cost the people of Illinois. Alongside many other states, Illinois is fighting more than 50 cases in court where the federal government is illegally confiscating money that has already been promised and appropriated by the Congress to the people of Illinois. These are not handouts. These are dollars that real Illinoisans paid in federal taxes and that have been constitutionally approved by our elected Democratic and Republican representatives in Washington.
The governor went on to talk about all of his initiatives and, reflecting back on last year, if you recall, I think he used the word Nazi 6 times, compared the Trump administration to authoritarianism rise in World War II with Nazi Germany. So he was pretty roundly criticized for that. And we reviewed some of that yesterday, just kind of reflecting, but we didn't really hear that in the speech this year. Instead, he talked about love.
Illinois was the canary in the coal mine for what we saw happen in Minnesota.
He talked about love. He talked about the importance of love.
I've been thinking a lot lately about love, about loving people and loving your country and the power involved in both. Love is an affliction. It's the most fortifying of our emotions and the most debilitating. It refuses to ground itself in logic or reason. Its very existence enriches us, even though its presence always creates chaos. Love is a superpower. It teaches the brittle to bend. It shows the selfish how to share. It grants courage to the coward. Once sparked, love becomes momentum. It's the sled gathering speed down the hill. It's the drop of water as it tips over the falls. It's glitter out of a bottle. The bravest thing any of us will ever do in this life is to love without promise of reciprocation. Because love's ferocity does not dim with rejection. Try to banish love to a shadow, and it will only reach harder for the sun.
Now, while the governor talked about love there for a good 60 plus seconds, he still took time to criticize the Trump administration.
Illinois was the canary in the coal mine for what we saw happen in Minnesota. It's a playbook as old as the game. Overwhelm communities, provoke fear, suggest that those tasked with enforcing the law are also above it, and drip authoritarianism bit by bit into our veins in the hopes that we won't notice we're being poisoned by it. The problem for Donald Trump and Stephen Miller was that Illinoisans did notice. Last year was not the first time a president has tried to subdue the Illinois population with hired thugs.
The governor obviously going on with more anecdotes. He had to try to compare Trump to an authoritarian, but again, didn't have the word Nazi pop up in his speech. House Minority Leader Tony McCombie, she addressed members of the media after the speech.
Governor Pritzker, he had a budget address all about blame. For Illinois families, that means zero accountability, zero ownership for the fiscal mess that they are living in.
And she also reflected on the lack of the term Nazi being in his speech, and also questioning the whole portion there about love.
Well, I think like we discussed before this, you walk out and say, well, at least we weren't called Nazis. That's a positive step. The love stuff was interesting and weird. And I mean, just the whole thing about the speech was about his run for president.
Now, it's being speculated for years now that Pritzker's aiming for a White House bid. I mean, back in 2024, he was a possible VP contender for Kamala Harris's campaign. So is the governor running for president? Of course, the next election is not until 2028. He says that he's looking for a third term for governor, and that he intends to serve governor. But when trying to press him on, is he going to serve all 4 terms of that if he gets it, he just says he wants to do what's best for Illinois. So we have yet to really get that clear if the governor is going to run for president. But Ryan Spain, another Republican leader in the Illinois House, even though they're in the minority, he also had time to criticize the governor's speech and saying that the record of Pritzker's time in office so far has not been good.
We certainly got a state of the state of how J.B. Pritzker's presidential campaign is going. And that's why I think he spent the majority of this speech today, over 20 times, name-checking the President of the United States, filling his speech with, in my view, very false and dangerous claims that the state of Illinois is being deprived of billions of dollars of federal funding that has yet to come to fruition. From the poor record of Illinois, the population losses, the business losses that we have experienced now for 8 years under the J.B. Pritzker administration. That's not Donald Trump's fault. That's the governor's fault that our state continues to lag behind the economic performance that it should.
Now, we look at that economic performance, and I mean, you kind of just historically go back and you'll see that it took Illinois more than a decade to bounce back from the Great Recession. Illinois lagged the rest of the country for unemployment rate, lagged the rest of the country for getting more jobs back in the recession. And then COVID hits, and Illinois lagged the rest of the country on reopening, lagged the rest of the country on rebounding jobs, and so on. You look at the population trends. We had a decade of decline. We've lost population. We don't have population back to where it was before the pandemic, even though we've seen more international migrants into Illinois than domestic migration out of Illinois. But that's starting to slow down, and the projections are that Illinois will lose another seat in Congress, if not 2, for the next decennial census. And that diminishes Illinois' power. Why are people moving out of the state? Well, Republican gubernatorial candidate, one of 4 that's going to be on the March 17th primary ballot, Ted Dabrowski, he was at the Capitol yesterday to react to Governor Pritzker's speech.
In terms of jobs, we have created almost 0 jobs. When you look at the rest of the country, they're creating a tremendous amount of jobs. You've got Texas with almost 1.5 million new jobs. You've got Florida with over 1 million new jobs, and we're down to the 5th worst in the country at just 13,000 jobs. That's almost 0. And you can imagine what that means to Illinois looking for opportunity. We are paying the price for Pritzker's economy, and people are paying that price. Not only that, but those taxes are outpacing wages. Illinois has the wages in the country. And this is the stuff that matters to people. The wages can no longer keep up with the tax bills, especially the property tax bills. And
Illinois having some of the highest property taxes in the country. So obviously you've got some of those concerns that continue to grow as the economy in Illinois not as vibrant as some of the other economies like Florida or Texas or so on. So all of this obviously even reaching the White House. Yesterday, Caroline Leavitt, during a White House press briefing, the press secretary was asked about one particular measure that the reporter threw out there for the White House to react to from Illinois, but they didn't necessarily directly respond to that. And I think the question was about giving some college tuition dollars to non-citizens. But Caroline Leavitt instead just focused in on Pritzker's handling of the state of Illinois.
The president certainly thinks that Governor Pritzker is not doing a very good job of managing his state, as evidenced by not only the waste, fraud, and abuse, but also the crime in the city of Chicago that unfortunately Governor Pritzker has refused to pick up the phone and call the White House and ask for help on, which is something his residents want him to do, but he refuses to do for political reasons.
So now we go full speed ahead with the Illinois legislature. They've got a May 31st deadline to enact a new budget and pass any other policy initiatives they want to pass, like, for instance, a social media tax. What's that going to mean for you and your use of that? What about the other line items that might increase and others decreasing? We've got a lot to pour through as legislators get to work on crafting that budget. in how they're going to spend your tax dollars here in the land of Lincoln. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for being with us each and every weekday morning. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and don't forget, be back here for the Center Square Daily, new national show we have developed for you so you can stay plugged into how states are impacting taxpayers all across the country. All right, it's only here with the Center Square. All right, guys, greatly appreciate you being here. Again, don't forget about the Center Square Daily right here, where you'll be able to get a extra show, bonus show each and every day, all right? So be sure to plug in and stay with us for the Center Square Daily right here, only with the Center Square. Have a great Thursday. We'll be back at it tomorrow, wrap up the week, and preview what to expect for the week ahead as we continue on day by day, keeping you plugged into what's going on in your state so that you can get back to work and taking care of your business. All right, have a great Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. I'm Greg Bishop. Peace out.
Pritzker.